looked at some of your stuff, like Facebook and Amazon and stuff like that. I was like, whack-a-mole, that's a good fucking idea. But I saw the pics and I immediately thought of Animal Farm.
Yeah.
Was George Orwell an inspiration for you?
George Orwell, yeah, definitely. He's like, I read everything, so yeah.
Okay, do you seem to, in a lot of it, you seem like very punk rock with the mohawk and everything. I take it that was a big influence. I mean, it looks like you have a hawk right now, but you just have it like slicked back a little bit.
Yeah, no, I haven't done anything with it today. It's a day off. It doesn't. It's like once in a fortnight, I'll make an effort. But if I'm just staying in and working, then I'll just slick it back and just forget about it. Do you know how difficult it is to sleep on a mohawk?
Dude, I had one for years and years and years. Yeah. It's not so difficult to sleep on it unless you spike it up. And then you gotta like put your head sideways so you don't fuck it up. And yeah. Plus you're kind of broke then, so it's not like you can keep doing it, you know. It's not like all Hollywood where the producers will make it all perfect.
The one thing worse than sleeping on a mohawk is having to go on a motorbike ride wearing a helmet with a mohawk and then expecting it to be okay when you take the helmet off.
Yeah, well, the other thing I noticed too is like I get on the motorcycle and just slick back the mohawk and I put the helmet on, and then that helmet pulls at the mohawk. So you're like, oh, my head really fucking itches. And as you're driving along, you know, you're like, oh, this really fucking itches. You take it off and you scratch your head, and you got to put it back on.
Horrible. Yeah, I can't stand it. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I mean, sacrifices you make for fashion. So, all right, so let's focus on your writing career. What got you into this?
Sorry, what got me into it? Everybody else. I mean, I grew up, like I say, I grew up with like King, obviously, Kuntz, not so much now, but you know, back in the day, Sean Hudson, James Herbert, Guy Smith, all these like really sort of. I just used to go to the library. Everyone else was reading like whatever. I was like 12 years old. I'm 11 years old, and I'm just picking out the books with the grossest covers I could find. you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, back in the day,
if it looks gross, then yeah, I'm gonna read it.
Yeah, back in the day, you'd read stuff based off the covers. Like you'd look at the cover, you'd be like, "That's a fucking awesome cover," and like half the time it'd let you down, and then sometimes you're like, "That's way more fucked up than I thought."
Yeah, exactly. And but I even used to like read like the old westerns. There used to be a western section at my library, whole bookcase full of just westerns, and I used to just look at the covers like somebody's taken out 3 or 4 gunslingers, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna read that one as well. So I used to read like the westerns and you know, all the pulpy horror that I could get my hands on. I'd say like I didn't really get into science fiction until I was a bit older. I was more about, you know, if it had a creature in it, a slug, a rat, you know, a bat, then I'd read it.
Facehugger.
Exactly. But I was fortunate as well, because I used to come back home and with all these books, these grotesque books that, you know, most parents wouldn't approve of, but luckily I only had one parent anyway to convince. But she used to like support me, like I think for my 12th birthday, she bought me the Scanners box set on VHS.
I didn't even know they made a box set. I've seen the movie. The movie's awesome.
Yeah, no, they did, because the Scanners 2, Scanner Cop, and all those. She got me the entire VHS collection of Scanners, and you know, I watched Exorcist when I was 8, so I had a very supportive mom, or not supportive mom, I suppose. she set me up to fail.
No, that sounds like a great mom.
Yeah,
I watch
exactly.
Exorcist, but I'm an atheist, so I was like, if you believe in all that stuff and it seems really real, you're terrified of it. I was like, I kind of had a little bit of a laugh with the whole thing. I was like, really? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I laughed the first time I watched The Exorcist. My mom was like, "I'll never watch it again." Right? She watched it at the cinema when it first came out, before I was even born, obviously. And she said, "I'll never watch it again. You can watch it at your own peril." And I was like, I'll watch it. This sounds like it's going to be like terrifying. And I watched it, and I was like, I lost a lot of respect for my mom.
Yeah, my first one was the Evil Dead 2, and I saw Evil Dead 2, and I just hooked. I have that on my finger. It's Evil Dead. And
Cool.
then I actually saw a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 before I saw one where the guy
Really?
gets like have his head chopped off. I was like, dude, this is fucking brutal. I got to stick with this. And I had a friend who lived in a trailer with a single mom, and she was cool as shit. She'd let us watch whatever. She'd give us beers and shit. So we'd be drinking beer, we'd be watching horror movies. It was pretty awesome. But I remember my parents, like, they're uptight, conservative, Christian, totally not into that shit. And I remember before they really scrutinized it, my mom, like any movie I want to see, my mom would like help me get a ticket to it, but she wouldn't watch it. And then I remember I saw all the Friday the 13th movies. And then when the seventh one came out and I went to go see it, they said, "Oh, you got to watch it with them." And that was it for her buying me movie tickets.
Yeah. No, that's the thing though. It's like you get into something at an early age like that. There's only one way you're gonna go, and that's how I ended up doing it. Like I knew what I wanted to do. I mean, I was writing like horror stories when I was like 14, 15. Because I collect typewriters, so I had my first typewriter when I was like 14. Clacking away for hours, and I used to take them in to my English teacher and let her read them. And she actually kept me behind after class. And I thought, this is how porn starts. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. So she kept me behind, and she said, "This is one of the most mature things I've seen someone like of your age actually write. So, don't stop."
Well,
So I
that's
was like,
great that your teacher was supportive like that.
Yeah.
Maybe she was supportive of the writing style, but not the subject matter.
Yeah, now the subject matter as well. Well, basically, what the stories that she used to read, like they were just rip-offs of people that I'd read. Before Stephen King wrote The Mist. No, actually, it was after he wrote The Mist. But I'd read The Fog by James Herbert, and I thought I could do The Fog, but in my own sort of way. So I did it, and I called it Mist or something like that. But then there was some sex in it as well. I'm a 14-year-old writing about sex, like I know what I'm fucking talking about. So, and then I give it to my teacher to read. Like I say, I was trying to set it up for a porn scene, but she wasn't having it.
I remember I had when I started writing, like I wrote my first book when I was in fifth grade. I'm sure it's horrible. It's like giant robots in space and stuff. But I'm sure it's horrible if you read it now. But when I was in high school, I had this old lady. She must have been like in her late 70s, early 80s, and I write the most like graphic horror stuff, and she loved it. Just the fact that you like were trying to be so eloquent with your language and everything.
Yeah.
And then I remember the next year I took creative writing, and the next year the teacher was like this like 10th grade English teacher, and he was like super sensitive, and I remember I just horrified him. He ended up kicking me out of his class actually. But it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I had the same problem. Like my first book was probably terrible, but I was just like doing what I wanted to do. It got published anyway. Pardon me. But when I got all the copies of it from the publisher, the author's copies. I gave them to each one of my family. I gave one to my grandma, my mom, my sister. And I was like, just promise me, all of you, promise me, none of you will ever read it. Just leave it on the shelf. Never read it. I've signed it.
Of course they read it, didn't they?
It's still out there somewhere. My grandma's still alive. My mom's gone, but my grandma's still alive somewhere. So it's still on her shelf now, next to the John Wayne biography. And
my dad was a big fan of John Wayne. That's probably actually why I didn't like Westerns, is because, like, I guess in the UK it's more of like a weird, like maybe American thing, but it's like in the US you're like, dude, I fucking hate those guys.
Yeah.
So,
but to see again, like with the Westerns, I mean, I can't do John Wayne, to be honest, but I do love Sergio Leone. I like the spaghetti ones, the spaghetti.
I like the Clint Eastwood. I'm sure Clint Eastwood is a way cooler god than John Wayne was.
Oh,
have you heard that song, John Wayne Was a Nazi?
No, I don't think so.
I think his Public Enemy did it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I think he was as well.
Well, I remember when the whole thing, when like it wasn't cool when I was into punk rock, at least, to be into anything but punk rock. Like if you liked rap or you liked metal or you liked any of that stuff, then you were a fake. And I remember Public Enemy came out with stuff like, John Wayne's a Nazi, and by the time we get there, I was like, that's punk as fuck. You're like blowing up congressmen and stuff.
Yeah. I've seen recent articles about him. I mean, and I like him even less now. More and more. The more I read about him.
What, John Wayne?
Yeah, John Wayne.
Yeah.
He's not a nice person, was he? Really? To be honest. I have a high tolerance for arseholes, but.
Well, I think it depends on the art. Like you can have like an artist, and like if they make really good art, then you can kind of tolerate them. But I don't think John Wayne made really good art. Like if it was really like Marlon Brando, okay,
yeah, I was just about to
great
say,
actor.
He was no Brando, was he? That's the thing.
Yeah.
No Brando. He's not even a Nicolas Cage. Let's be honest.
Nicolas Cage has some really strong movies. I think the first two I saw by him were Wild at Heart and Raising Arizona. I was like, those are both great movies. He's a great actor. Then he's very hit or miss. When he's on, he's on.
Everything pretty much that he's ever been in, right? And so much so that I once wrote a story for a magazine, and it was called Caged In.
Okay.
And it was about a Nicolas Cage support group. People who are addicted to Nicolas Cage films, trying to wean themselves off it.
They're like, oh, the bees.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Like, there's like some poor old lady going, oh, guess what I did this week? My name's Doris. Guess what I've done this week? And they're like, what have you done, Doris? And she's like, I watched The Wicker Man twice. Right? And everyone's like, oh, everyone a round of applause to Doris. Right? It's like just this stupid comedy thing.
That's
about
a good
Nicolas
idea,
Cage.
actually. Nicolas Cage support group.
Yeah. It's a support group just for Nicolas Cage people. trying to like not watch any of his films.
They just can't help it.
I actually love that story. I might try and find that out.
When did that come out?
I can't remember now. It was in a magazine, I think, probably about five or 6 years ago. But it was just because I love Nicolas Cage, right? I will watch it every time there's a Nick Cage film on the telly. I will switch over and watch it. I don't care what.
The Color Out of Space.
Yeah, loved it.
Great movie, yeah.
Perfect.
One of the few Lovecraft stories that actually translate into like a great movie. Because most of them are
very
crap.
Very beautiful, very good special effects. It was, to me, it was a real. I don't know about you, but I think he's getting better with age. Like
Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, his roles are getting more and more, like he should be doing them.
Well, I think he made a whole bunch of
progression.
Yeah, he made a whole bunch of fucking money, and then he just blew it all. I think he had like an orange orchard down in Florida and stuff.
And then he lost everything.
Yeah. Well, he didn't lose everything, but he's also like he has a type. Like he loves Japanese girls, and he's been married to like 5 of them, I think. And of course, you know, as he gets older, they stay the same age, so they just take all his fucking shit when he leaves.
Typical.
So I feel like he kind of has to do the movies to like, you know, live that lifestyle. So some of the movies are just like that was a cash grab, and some are really good. I think he has talent. You just don't see it all the time, you know.
Yeah, you know. I think. What was the last one I watched? I haven't seen The Unbearable Lightness of Massive Talent or whatever it's called. I haven't watched that yet. Unfortunately. I think the last one I watched was Wally's Wonderland.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
The one where he takes over an old animatronics restaurant / bowling alley, but the animatronics are all haunted.
That sounds kind of interesting for like evening watch, you know, on like Netflix.
But do you know what the strange thing about the whole film is? He doesn't speak.
Okay.
He doesn't speak one word all the way through. It's just all about him. Just kicking ass, you know, kicking the shit out of all these haunted robots. I think he's done every genre, and that's a sign of a good actor, and the sign of a good artist is to be able to step out of your comfort zone and
cross pathways and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's why I like Nick so much. Nick, like me and Nick, like we're best friends. The way I said Nick.
You can phone him up after this interview and talk about the podcast and, you know, shoot the shit. All right, so let's go back to I want to go back to punk rock roots a little bit. I know punk rock is way different in the UK than it was here in the US. Like I remember like when I first got into it, like I was 12, 13. It was like the 80s, and like our big bands were like Dead Kennedys and Black Flag and stuff like that. I know there was like, it seems like it was a little bit earlier in the UK with the whole Sex Pistols thing, and then it kind of, you know, it kind of evolved into the ska thing.
It did. I mean, we've still got some good punk bands out now. Like, I mean, I remember the first time I saw Stiff Little Fingers. I think Stiff Little Fingers probably about 20 years ago. They're still going today, and they're still as good. But we didn't really. I don't know, like you say, we seem to be in front, but it seems to have lasted longer in America.
Right. Well, America's just a bigger place, you know, so like people are discovering it in Indiana after it already died out in like New York, you know.
Yeah.
But you had some, I thought you had some like really intelligent bands, and then you had some really dumb ones like The Exploited.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing The Exploited live, and they did a song called Fuck the USA. And then they played, and I was in DC at the time. So like the famous kind of CBGBs in DC was called the 930 Club. And they played Fuck the USA, and there were a whole bunch of skinheads there, and they all beat them fucking up. And, you know, they'd come back to the US for like 10 years. It's stupid nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. That's the trouble. I mean, I read about one the other day, and I can't remember what the name is of the band now, but they've been shamed because of the Nazi propaganda and Nazi stage show and everything. And it's like, come on, we got past all that.
Yeah.
You know, well, you're not hot, you're not being edgy, you're just being I don't know what language I'm allowed to use on here, but
you can say whatever the fuck you want.
but yeah, you know, we've gone past that. That was, you know,
like when people like Sid Vicious were wearing a swastika, they were just trying to be edgy. But it's like, all right, that came and went, you know.
Exactly. That's done and dusted. You've lost that now. Is that? I don't know. It's like I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if I see like a Confederate flag or
Right.
that to me, that's like, just forget about fucking. It was edgy when it was. You're just being a dick. Just move on.
Well,
You
no,
know.
it was itchy. I mean, there are some bands that like some kind of sludge bands and stuff, and they would blast that all the time. And I was like, oh, well, that's part of their Southern heritage. But then after a while, you're like, well, that Southern heritage involved a bunch of horrific things. So
Yeah.
I think we need to move on past that a little bit.
Yeah. I think even like I think Pantera at one point had a Confederate guitar, and there's a few other. I've seen a lot because I
Oh,
play
they
the
have
guitar.
it, and Phil Anselmo, the singer, said a bunch of like really douchey things. But I just think
Yeah.
he's trying to be crazy. He's trying to be edgy. He's trying to connect. I don't really think like he has plenty of black friends. He has plenty of like Mexican friends. I don't think he's really a racist. I think he's
I
just
don't think
he thinks he's
exactly. I
trying to
don't
be
think he means
edgy.
it. Yeah, he doesn't mean anything. He's just like you say. He's like he's playing up to an audience who
Right.
might latch onto it. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I've seen Pantera a couple of times live, and I'll always love Dimebag, and but
Well, I think
oh,
they're very talented,
the
but whenever
reunion
they
coming as
play, I
well.
don't go see them because their fans are fucking douchebags. Like those are
Yeah,
the guys I got in fights with in high school.
exactly. Yeah.
But so when you were going through the punk scene in high school, you were going to a lot of shows, or what was influencing your writing? Was it the economy there? Were they combined?
I didn't actually get published until 2008, so I was quite late to it. I was writing a lot, but
That's earlier.
didn't get.
That's earlier than me. I got published in 2011. So you
Hey,
beat me.
we're,
Yeah,
we're newbies. We've got years of this. Don't
yeah,
worry. We got years of this misery.
yeah.
But yeah, no. So like, I first got published in 2008, but I was a welder. I was welding for 12 years. I was in the army for a brief period, as most people. But my thing was mainly my mental health, which has always been, so my way of coping with my mental health is to write and distract myself and write every day, 3 or 4,000 words a day. And so that's what I started doing, and it paid off because 2010 I got published again, and then it's just started sort of snowballing, like I was getting accepted to more anthologies and magazines with short stories and things, and then I started getting invites, which is the nicest thing ever. It's like you think, oh, I've got to submit to this, and then all of a sudden you get like a message out of nowhere saying, "We'd like you to submit to this," and I'm like, I used to have to do all the work. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's completely different. I mean, that doesn't happen like all the time, but I still have to do all the work. But yeah, as soon as you start to give yourself a name and a face, and going out to conventions, hanging around with other authors and people in the business, like I don't know, you just become like a part of the furniture, the same as you are, the same as I am. We're all in it together, as far as I'm concerned. Unless you're racist, then you can fuck off. Not you. I'm talking about it.
No, I didn't take it personally.
No, that wasn't. I just mean, unless I draw the line at some people.
Well, you kind of have to,
It's like there's too much as well. There's too much animosity in the horror community, like between there's different factions. There's all this, and I'm like, I just watch it with a wide sort of I don't get involved.
Some people are haters. You gotta, I don't know. I think that's part of getting older. You gotta learn to write people off.
Well, that's it. I mean, I don't even know how old you are, mate. I'm seriously, I'm 42 now, right? My days of giving a shit, they're out the window. That was 10 years ago. That's gone.
I'm 49. I had friends who were like, they're my best friend in high school, and then they became a heroin addict, and they're like stealing my roommate's rent. And so suddenly me and my girl have to work extra to pay rent. So yeah, some people, you just got to cut them off.
Exactly. That's it. Do you know, like, I got married, what was it, 6 months ago? I better get this right because she's downstairs. Yeah, 6 months ago, I got remarried. That's my second one.
Yeah.
And there will not be a third.
I was married once, but my wife died. She died in a hit and run. But yeah, I was married once.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I should have.
It was a big deal, but it was a big deal back when it happened, which, I mean, it happened over a decade ago. Like, it still impacts me, but it's not as like fresh in my memory.
But you're in a good place. Everything's good. You're doing well.
Well,
yeah, dude, I'm a massive fan of you. You know why? Because of the tattooing and shit, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously, plastered. I wish I could go back and have some of it removed so I could come and see you and get a proper one.
Well, I know most tattoo artists are like that, especially like when they're actual tattoo artists, they tried to get into it right away. So they got a whole bunch of crap all over their arms. And now they know good people in the industry and they have no room to get anything cool. So yeah, they're trying to get lasered stuff off or cover ups or whatever. It happens all the time.
Do you know what I've got left? The only space I've got left is my ribs.
Ribs hurt like a motherfucker.
I know. That's why they're still empty. That's why they're still blank.
I have a big Lovecraft thing on the side, and
this is the only space left.
But the ribs are kind of weird because, like, in the middle of the ribs, you're like okay, and once they hit down by your hip or up by your armpit, you're like, holy fuck. So
yeah, that's why I've stayed clear of it. But
I tell people, I'm like, everything good in life hurts. I was married.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get back to your writing for a minute. So what do you try and focus on? Like, do you have a primary objective that you try and get across? Do you just have like stories that come up and you're like, that would make a great story? What's your modus operandi, so to speak?
I sometimes I can't, because I try to think outside the box. Like everybody, I mean, when I first started writing, zombies were like new. Walking Dead had just started or whatever. But I wrote the zombie western, which wasn't that good, but so don't. It wasn't great, but everyone's like, oh, so it's a bit like Red Dead Redemption. Then I'm like, I wrote it before that even got made, what I mean? And then the Backstreet Boys made a film as well. The Backstreet Boys?
Oh, yeah.
They made a film called the same thing as my zombie western. And they all play cowboys against zombies, the Backstreet Boys. So that's ruined the whole book forever. But when I first started it, like writing, zombies to me were like, okay, that's an easy way in. Do a zombie story. So I ended up doing 4 books, obviously. And then I thought, right, zombies, everybody's doing zombies now. And there were, at the time, it was like, it was so saturated, the entire market with zombies and undead. And
yeah, it seems to go up and down. Like, Dawn of the Dead was fucking awesome. And then all these like shitty zombie movies like Zombie Lake and Shockwaves came out. Like, exactly. And then it kind of came back with The Walking Dead, and then everybody's trying to fucking copy the success of The Walking Dead.
That's it.
I remember the main actor for Walking Dead was like, well, it's kind of like a family drama set in hell. I was like, all right, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see a zombie movie. I don't want to see a family drama.
No, You don't watch a slow burn zombie thing, do you? It's like
Yeah.
that lasts for like 10 seasons. So like I was like, right, that's it, no more zombies. I've done a few like short zombie stories since, when like, you know, an idea comes, but I steer away from zombies now. So that's how I first started. But now, like, I try to think of more. I think more out of the box. It'll take. I could go a month now trying to just come up with an idea, where, and then I'm like, it all fits. Yeah, think outside the box. Nobody's done that before. No, but when you think about it, somebody's always done it before. That's the trouble.
It's just when they do it well, I think, you know, because everybody's done everything before. You get called out on stuff. You're like, dude, I didn't even read that book or see that movie. And they're like, well, it's just like this. You definitely saw it. You're like, no, dude, I really didn't.
Exactly. I saw a post on Facebook earlier. It was I can't remember who posted it now, but somebody had written a book about menopause, menopausal women suddenly inheriting superhero powers.
Okay.
Which is terrifying in itself if you think about it. Because my wife's going through the menopause anyway, and to me, she's got the strength of 10 bears. So if anything, they don't need any more powers. But
well, and all those hormones hit the brain, and you know, you're like, fuck, dude, I really was not trying to be mean. I'm sorry.
But the idea, right, was the really good premise. Right? I wouldn't be able to write it as a male, I don't think, because then I'd have all the female authors or the women authors coming after me going, what do you know about the menopause? I'd be like, well, I live with one. She's my muse. She's helping. But anyway, this woman posted this post like saying, I've just finished this story about the menopause, and it's the superpowers. And then I've heard that somebody else has announced a novel about women, menopausal women, having superpowers. And she said, and my heart sank, because I think I've just spent, like, you know, my last 6 months, maybe 9 months writing
it. Yeah.
And imagine that, like, it's like that's how the director of Deep Impact felt when Armageddon came out. The same
Impact
month.
Is way better than Armageddon, but
exactly, I agree with you on that as well. But then, the good part about this story is she actually said, I've then read the premise behind it, and although the stories are similar, they couldn't be further apart.
Right.
So I think that, like you say, that's what makes a difference. Is you can have the same story, you can have the same. It's how
well it's sold. Yeah.
Determine how it
goes.
I
was working with Paul Acker. He's another tattoo artist. He owns a shop. Pretty well-known tattoo artist. He's really good. And I remember he's a huge horror fan. Like, we do horror conventions together, and he started making a film. And like the guy was like half lobotomized. He wears a welder mask and he kills people. And I did all the, like, you know, preliminary illustrations for it. And like the guy's like psychotic. So like he sees a cop as like a giant pig in a cop outfit. So I drew that up. And he sees like there's a lady, and he sees that lady as like his dead mom. So like she has a big bouffant hairdo, and I drew it like half skull, you know, half lady. And like there's a homeless guy he sees like as insects, like a giant bug. So I did all these illustrations. I was all into it. He started his own company called Eyesore Films, and I drew up the logo for that. It was like a spoon like taking the eye out. You know? And then he finds out somebody else also had a welding mask killer, and he's like, and he just gave up.
Yeah, you see, that's nah. You can't just give up.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just, you know, keep chiseling away. That's the thing. I think is like, if we wouldn't write, if we like sort of thought about the kind of thing that we were writing, and then think, oh no, but I remember reading that story because that's where the ideas come from. You know, you just got to carry on. I mean, my last, I finished a story yesterday for a new anthology, cannibal themed anthology, which hopefully will be out next year. And
I don't know what's the name of the book.
I can't. Just in case I get rejected. What if the book comes out and I'm not in it, and I've just told you what the name of the book is? Everyone's like, "Well, Millard's lost it."
All right. Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. So I only sent it off last night. So, but they did sort of request the story, so that's a good thing. But so
you never know though. Like I did a cover for a magazine. They request me to do it. I ran the idea by them. They loved it. I did the illustration. They're like, we love it. Then the magazine comes out and they use my cover. I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, yeah, we decided to go with another way. Like, so you never know.
That's editor's choice at the end of the day. I'd say, like I say, I've never felt bad at being rejected. Even if I've been, you know, asked to write a story and then they say, no, we're going to go with, you know, or it's too long and we can't include it because it's too long, or I understand. And that's happened like so many times. I mean, I'm fortunate because I've been in like 200 books, you know, or magazines and whatever.
Yeah, I saw your output. It's pretty prolific. You have a lot of stuff out there.
It really, and I mean, it's slowed down now a little bit because I've been busy moving. I've moved from Wolverhampton to Stoke, which is like 60 miles away, and so it's been like a bit slowed down these last couple of months. But I do have like a new book coming out next year. No, this year, should be this year. I've got like a couple of translated novels as well. So if you can speak Spanish or read Spanish even, then there's a couple of books coming out. So
have you tried Audible at all? Like my latest book is the first one I've made available in audio, and I'm surprised actually a lot more people buy that than any other format because a lot of people don't read.
Yeah, I just find it too expensive though. I find Audible to be like, you know, I mean, some of my books are on there and like they're like upwards of £20 or £15 for the narrators are great, to be honest. I mean, the people that I got to work with narrating them, they're really good and they make it, you know, sound really good. But would I pay £20 now?
I know what I found is I found that there are people that will do it and they either you pay them up front or you give them a percentage of sales.
Yeah, 50,
and I give them a percentage of sales because I didn't know, but in retrospect, I should have just paid them because it's selling much better the audio version than the paperback.
There was a guy that unfortunately it doesn't always like work out well. There was a guy I worked with. I think it was for one of my the Susceptibles. I think it was one of my serious ghost stories. And we went 50-50 on Audible. And then, so obviously, like you say, you don't pay anybody up front, you know, it's you get half, I get half, whatever it sells. About three months after he narrated it and it went up for sale, he sent me a message saying, "You owe me money." And I was like, "What?" He said, "Well, I thought you were going to sell X amount and you haven't sold X amount. So, you know, now you owe me money out of your own pocket." I'm like, dude, that's not how it works.
Did you pay him?
No.
What was he asking you to pay him?
No, I got rid of it. Did it? Look, Tom, you know Tom Six from the Human Centipede?
No, I know the Human Centipede, yeah.
I wrote the parody, The Human Centipede. It's a Christmas novel, Christmas book based on the Human Centipede.
Okay.
So it was selling really well. 2 years later, I get a message from Tom Six, the director. Right? No, not Tom Six. He actually liked it. He liked it. He actually liked it on Twitter from his production company, saying that I owed him royalties. I owed them royalties, the whole production company, Six Productions or whatever it was called, for every book I'd sold and for like using the centipede idea. And I was like, do you not know how satire works? If it's satire, if it's a parody, you cannot even come at me.
No, that's true. Yeah.
You can't, you have no rhyme or reason to come at me at all. So I think he was just trying his luck.
Right.
And this is like from the official production company from the Human Centipede. And once I told him that and told him to fuck off, basically didn't hear from him again. So I feel like I've taken down Hollywood slightly, even though it's not Hollywood, but whatever it is, I still won.
But all right, man. So I don't want to keep you here all day, but tell me what you're working on now and how people can get a hold of you.
Well, I'm just getting back into a few things now. I've got a comedy fantasy novel that I'm working on called The Unintentional Detective. And then I've got a few people ask me about Larry 4, which is the slasher thing that I've already released 3 of. So I've got to get Larry 4 out. So Pigface will be back at some point. And then there's Randy Man, which was just an idea that I had, like, but it was too good. It was too stupid not to actually think about it. So it's like a satire, a parody of Candyman about an ex-porn star who dies and comes back, but instead of a hook for a hand, he actually has a giant vibrator. So Randy Man might be happening.
Did you see the episode of The Boys where like the girls killing everybody with dildos?
Yeah, I love The Boys. I think that's the thing. It's like there's so much inspiration out there now. It's like everybody should be writing.
The Boys is great. I love The Boys.
Oh, it's amazing. I've just my wife, right? My wife sounded like Borat then for a second. My wife, she never even watched Breaking Bad, right?
Right.
Until like about 3 weeks ago, and then like we binged it all in 1 week.
The whole thing.
And now we're running out of Better Call Saul to watch as well. So I have no idea what's going to happen at the end of this week, because we're going to run out. I really want to watch the new Predator film though.
Okay. I feel like they kind of missed the mark with the last couple.
Yeah, no, I think that it's a good thing to step back and do something different, and the Comanche tribe and the Comanches and the completely different setting, and
that could be a good movie or it could suck. I really don't know.
Early reviews are saying it's amazing, best one since 1987. So
okay, awesome.
I'll believe it. I'm going to try and watch it tonight if I can find it. But
is it out now?
It came out today, yeah.
Oh wow.
Disney Plus and Hulu, I think, or something.
Oh, okay. I know that they're making the Sandman series, which I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, I think that's Netflix. Is that Netflix?
I believe it's Netflix. It might be Disney Plus or something. I get all of them. I get all the streaming services. I don't even go to the fucking theaters anymore. Like everything's right here at home. Like, like me and my girlfriend, we get a bunch of food, we get some wine, You go
Yeah,
get some
exactly.
whiskey because she likes whiskey. and we'll just
That's
watch
exactly,
movies.
that's what we're like. I can't even remember. I mean, we haven't even been to the cinema. I've been married now for like 6 months. We've been together for nearly 18 months. We haven't ever been to the cinema. It's like there's too much to watch at home. I shit you not, right? Is that an English term? Do you know what that means?
Yeah, no, I know what that means. Yeah, I mean, it's not as commonly used over here. Like I was talking to another guy from England, and like there are words that you use more often, but we know what they are. Like, you call everybody a cunt, and we don't use cunt as much. But
See, I haven't used the C word at all this interview because I knew I didn't know. I said to you, what word am I allowed to use?
you can use any fucking word you want. Yeah.
Well, Boris Johnson is a cunt.
Yeah.
Okay. Simple.
No, but we use motherfucker all the time. So like our word is motherfucker. You guys use cunt.
Yeah, we love the cunt. We do, seriously. Because when I came to America in 2015 to do Bizarro Con in Portland, and every time I said cunt, everyone was like, "Say it again."
Well, you say it too with the accent, and then that has like twice the impact.
That's it. For like 4 days, I'm just walking around the hotel going, "You're right, cunt. As everything you cunt." Just like, whatever makes you happy, cunt.
Well, Bizarro Con is probably the place to get away with it.
Exactly.
Like, I've done conventions.
Can I get
like,
a stack of pancakes and some syrup, you cunt? Yeah.
I've done conventions, and it'll be like a horror convention, and right next door will be like some religious convention. So it was really funny seeing the two people cross paths. And like the religious people are like looking around like, oh shit, the devil's real. They're all here. I've been at tattoo conventions too, where there were actually Christian protesters outside. And we thought that was the funniest shit ever.
Nobody's getting hurt in real life. If anything, you fucking Jehovah's whatever. If anything, you're doing more damage.
Yeah, if you look at most horror fans, they're actually really nice people. They respect animals. The last thing they want is hurt an animal. They respect people. It's just like, this is the fantasy that they indulge in. Whereas you have like fucking people that act more straight-laced, or they'll act like super conservative, anti-homosexual, and then they call it like a restroom with like a male stripper. It's like they're the exact opposite of what they portray sometimes.
Exactly. Those who protest are usually the ones who are fucked up.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Like, have you seen that movie? I think it's called The Believer. It's about like a Jewish skinhead Nazi.
No, I don't think I've seen it.
It's kind of like it's one of the things, like the televangelists are really anti-homosexual or usually homosexual.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, man. So how can people see your work? How can they get a hold of you, and how can they keep up with what you're doing?
Well, I'm always on Facebook, usually posting random things that my stupid wife says. She's not stupid. She's not stupid. Let me just reiterate that. She's not. She does come out with the most obscene things that just make me laugh. And I'm like, she even says to me before I even post, she's like, "Is that a Facebook one?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a Facebook one." Because but I'm always on social media, Facebook. I'm on TikTok now. I don't have many people on TikTok because I'm new to it.
You were the do and do the dances.
No. That's not me. I think one of my I've only posted a few TikToks. One of them is me answering the door to my delivery driver wearing a Michael Myers mask.
That's pretty cool.
He was 5 minutes late. So I thought, well, fuck him. He deserves to be scared. And he literally did shit himself. So that was great. That's one of my TikToks. But yeah, AdamMillard.com. There's a hyphen between the Adam and the Millard. Somebody stole my domain name. Can you believe that? I didn't renew it for like 2 weeks, and now I've got to have a hyphen between Adam and Millard.
Yeah. No, I had Instagram, and I had like 17,000 followers on it, and somebody hacked it. So all of a sudden there was like this. I know they're Russian because I could see the email address they changed it to. We had like some 17-year-old girl doing all these selfies and stuff, and people were like, Dan, that didn't seem like you. And so eventually I got it shut down, and because I'm not a big name, I had to restart it with a new name. If I was like I don't remember who, like there's somebody like Milo Kunis or somebody got hacked, and they had the domain back within like a week. It didn't happen for me.
No, let's start from scratch.
Yeah. But it is what it is,
Yeah.
People suck. Life sucks sometimes, It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what? If I get hacked, I'll just give up. I ain't going through all this shit again.
Right.
This is a one-time thing. There's no second coming.
Maybe you'll track him down and something might happen to him, but
no, I can't. It's too much work. No, I'll be done.
Okay, so your website is Adam,
Adam-Millard.com. Yeah. Twitter's just Adam Millard. Facebook, yep, you'll see me if you just type in Adam Millard, probably. Instagram, I don't even use Instagram. Like you say, I don't have a face for selfies, to be honest.
Right.
I got a face for radio.
You started with the tutu. You started with the pink tutu, and then suddenly you'll be the next big thing.
It could be. Oh, I don't know. No, it's not for me. I'm not into all that. See, I don't mind I don't mind sharing pictures and things that are happening, but I'm not going to be the one that's, lying on a beach with my tits out and no.
That might sell. I'm just saying, throwing a devil's advocate,
I'm too old for it now.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much for doing this.
No, thank you for having me, mate. It's been a good laugh. I really enjoyed it.